Still not feeling great, but I figured we'd do a short little video on testing out a new tool. So I've got my Black & Decker valve shop here. You can kind of see I'm using the front-facing camera, sorry about that. But this is an old machine from the 1940s. Works great for valves, but I didn't have the matching valve seat machine until a few weeks ago. And my buddy needed some stuff done on his Jeep, so we're trying that out. I'll show you what we're doing. So basically what you're going to have is you got a little mandrel that sits inside of your valve guide down here. And then I've just recut this seat. We're not totally done. You can see there's still a little bit of dark area. This seat we've cut, and this is just basically with a roughing stone. This isn't the finishing ruby stone, but this is just the first 45-degree cut. So what you're going to do is take this mandrel, screw it down into your guide, and then grind. So we snap this on here, put the machine on. It's kind of like a drill. Check it again, see where your dark area is. Got just a little bit more to go. And with that, you just use, this is a vibrocentric machine. So when you put pressure on it, it actually vibrates. If you want to do a lighter cut, you use less pressure and it doesn't vibrate, so it takes a lighter cut. Right, so I'm going to show you how to remove this mandrel here. So I've just got a punch on here. There's a little handle that goes in here, but this works just fine. And this just snaps over your mandrel, and we just spin this out and then pull it up. So it's just very hard to do one-handed. It's supposed to wedge in there so it's concentric when it cuts. And there goes our handle. All right, so here's our finished valve guide, or excuse me, valve seat, now that we've removed that from the valve guide. And we'll point the finger at it. It seems to like it when I point the finger at it and it focuses. So next one, you can see this has got a little mandrel, and then it's got a wedge. It's kind of like a red head or wedge anchor you'd use for construction. So basically this section wedges down into this. This expands into your valve guide and keeps that concentric. So we're going to spin this out. Drop this down the guide. I'm trying to get you guys a good angle here. Okay, now this is kind of a tight fit, but this is the correct size mandrel for this valve guide. I mean, you wouldn't want it to be loose in there because then your cut's going to be all over the place. Now what I'm doing is I'm feeling at the bottom of, let's see if I can get it here, feeling the bottom of the valve guide, so she's just sticking through a little bit. And then I'm taking and tightening this up, and the reason for that is the length of these valve guides, and then also you don't want your tool here, which I'm crushing, to bottom out on this mandrel. So if you haven't got this far enough in, then it's going to stop inside here, because you can see that's basically a blind hole coming from this direction. So that's going to go on there like that. Then you put the machine on, it's going to cut your valve seat. We got that next valve seat done. Now these are just being cut on a 44.5-degree angle. So if you're going to change your stone angle, these stones come in set increments and set sizes. So what was pretty awesome that Black & Decker thought of doing is this little machine right here. So you take this, put it on there, dial this in to the degrees that you want, and you can either dress the stone back to the way they had it from the factory, or you can cut your own custom angle on it. But pretty handy. So what you do is you put that driver in here. I'll see if I can show you that. You're going to run it. As you're running that, you bring this, take this off here for a sec. You bring this diamond tipped cutter down, and it just cuts that angle. Pretty neat. So if you need to redress the stone, you just leave it set up. This is just for the exhaust. You're going to do all of your exhaust with this. Alright, so we set up a few of these, and we've got them cleaned up. They look pretty dang good. wanted to show you the difference between how this cuts when it's vibrating and when it's not. So I'll do the vibrating, vibrocentric cutting first. You can hear it's kind of a little bit noisier. Forgive my fingers in the camera, I'm trying to do this one-handed. So this is heavier pressure. Okay, I'll take that off. Check our cut. That did a pretty good job, but you can see, right, if I can get my finger in there, right there, still dark, meaning we need to cut a little bit more. So I'll show you the light cut. That's basically no pressure, just the pressure of the drill. This is how the manual says to do it. Here's the difference. It sounds just like a drill. This is if you're just final dressing, just trying to get that last little bit. I am so pleased to have this machine now because I can do a full valve job in my shop without having to take it to the machine shop. Not that they don't do a great job, but machine shops are just getting awfully expensive, so if you can do it yourself, I say learn how to do it and get her done. So we're getting towards the last one on here. Something to note is you want to keep checking this edge on here to make sure that you're not cutting a weird angle in there. The camera is probably distorting this a little bit, but with my naked eye I can see that that angle on there is still good. But I think just for safety, I'm going to dress that just a teeny bit, and we'll just make sure that all these angles are true, because you don't want to goof up your angles, and then it's going to goof up your other two valve angles, because you're going to be trying to fight that concave surface and trying to move things around, where the real problem would have been that you've got a cupped stone or something and the valve seat is actually grinding into the stone. Now the other thing to mention too is when you do these intakes, your intakes are going to be a lot softer, so lots less pressure. We've had our first casualty. The damn stone got stuck on the driver. So I think that what the problem was, I should have cleaned this first. It's just a little rusty, and that being the case, we did get it off. I've got more stones, but it's just kind of unfortunate. Now we've got our intake stone on here, and I put a little bit of grease on there, and I didn't cinch it down quite as tight. So we're going to go ahead and retool for this, reset up our mandrel, and start cutting intake valves. Okay, as I'm trying not to drop the camera here, here goes our first intake. I'll change the angle so you can see a little bit better. And the reveal. Not too bad. I just used the light pressure. I did not use the vibrocentric feature. And that one looks pretty good. So I think we'll move on to the next. So we're all done with the intake and exhaust valves. We just recut the 45s. That's your main valve face contact area. The intakes do have at least a 2, maybe a 3 angle. It looks like a 2 angle valve job from the factory. But for right now we're just going to cut the 45s. I think he's happy with that. And I'm happy to be done with it. So, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, you guys are awesome. Let me know that some of these valves might be cupped after we did the grind on them. So, this is kind of a post-video update here. If I can get the camera to focus. You can look at that, and you can see it's cupped a little bit. I've put a straight edge against it. It's kind of hard to do on camera. I don't know if maybe I can hold it against the head so you can see that or something, but if you look in there, that valve face is cupped. So we're going to go ahead and do a regrind on those. I'm kind of setting aside the losers here, keeping them in order. You want to keep those in order, the valve seat that came out of. Okay guys, so here's the last part of the equation. We're going to regrind some of these valves that got cupped. I guess he was doing a little bit of lapping on there, and it didn't turn out so good. So I've got this set up on the machine. I've got this indexed back quite a ways so that stone doesn't touch it. This is set up on the same degrees as we had the valve seat. Or actually, no, this one's set up on a 45. I correct myself. That's 45 on this. So the valve seat's a 44.5, and this is a 45. I forgot, but the machine's already, I haven't done anything on the machine since. So I'm just trying to get this as close as I can without touching. It looks closer on camera than it is. That's quite a ways away. We're about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to get this so it's almost touching. My dial on here is indicated in thousandths of an inch, so we can be really precise with how far we dial this in. I'm going to spin the valve up to make sure it's running concentrically. Roll this back out of the way. Turn on the cover for the grinding stone. Roll this back just a little bit. You can see that valve was pretty bad. All those dark spots are low spots. So we're just going to keep on doing this process until we get that ground out. It's only going to be just a teeny bit. You want to watch right here that you don't get your margin too thin. I believe the specification on this was 0.010 of an inch. Alright, that's how it's done. You can see that's left a nice finish on that valve. Thanks for watching, guys.